Well, hello there, friend. Thank you for joining me. My name is Ron from CamMastery.com, where you can go to learn how to make great videos with Camtasia. This is a live session that I do, and I host as often as I can on Sundays at 11 Eastern. What I try to do is answer your questions. So we're here to do some Cam Answers live, and in today's session, I want to talk about annotation limits, which honestly has nothing to do with annotation limits, but I'll explain that when I get there. Captions, open captions versus closed captions, and just some caption stuff in general, and then hosting files. Now, one of the things I want to mention here at the beginning is the last section, the last question will take some time. I imagine it'll take some time. I have a lot of things that I want to say. I'll try and make it as concise as possible, but just want to say, hey, that might go a little bit longer. Because this is live, I would love for you to ask questions along the way. Last time I did this, I couldn't find the questions for whatever reason. And I'm going to look right now and see if I can find them myself. And I think I'm in the same situation. Yeah, I'm in the same situation where the questions aren't showing. So I'm going to try something else here. Nope, it's not even showing there. Okay, so if you do have questions, I would love to see those, but I can't see them right now. And I'm not even sure why. So if you happen to know why I can't see my questions, hey, let me know. But let's answer some questions here. Let me go over to this first question, and it is about annotation limits. So someone asked, I'm trying to make a long rectangle across the bottom to include a URL, but it's too small and it's not going out the way he expects. So this was posted to a Facebook group that I'm a part of. It's not my Facebook group, so I didn't include the person's name or anything like that. Let me head over to Camtasia and kind of show you what was going on there. So let me do this. And then I want to add an annotation. So he grabbed an annotation, he brought it in. Of course, it helps if that annotation's up there. There we go. And he said, he can only go out to like whatever, say this far. And then as he tried to drag it out further, it wouldn't. He could make it smaller, but he couldn't make it any larger for whatever reason. It was capping it at some level. So what I want to mention with this is I have run into similar things like this where I can't resize or I just can't do something in Camtasia that I need to do. So, one of the first things I'll try and what I would recommend to you is if you can't do something in Camtasia or it's acting unexpectedly, we'll say, first thing to try and do is save it, close Camtasia entirely, and then just reopen. A lot of times, just reopening Camtasia is enough to get things working just fine. But that's not always the case. And in fact, I believe the same thing happened here with this person who asked this question. They said that didn't work. Another thing I'll try and do is, just reopen the project, maybe make some changes to it, and then save it as a different version. So for whatever reason, sometimes one project file could possibly get corrupted. If I save it with a new name, it has all new settings or, it's a new file, and then I can open that way. So if I'm on version 8, I just save it as version 9, close out of Camtasia, reopen, open Camtasia version 9, and then I can do whatever I need to do. But if none of those things work, the thing I do is create a brand new file, but I use all the same settings. So I have a control key combination that allows me to do all this. So here's what I do. I'm going to jump over to Camtasia and just show you what I'm talking about. So here in Camtasia, if, for example, I was trying to do something and this wouldn't resize, what I would do is grab everything, copy it, and paste it into a new project. To do that, I would go just like this. I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to do Control A to select all. And for some reason, it just grabbed a couple things. I'm not sure why that is. Control A to grab all. There we go. Now it grabbed everything. Control C to copy. Then I would go File New or Control N for a new file. And I'm going to say no to saving changes there. Control V to paste. And then Control S to save. So this is, my fresh project. And here it is. I mean, this is the entire project again. It's just in a brand new project. So again, what I do is say, grab everything, copy, paste, and just put it in a brand new project. And you can do that. It'll grab everything. I don't know why it grabbed just those first couple items, maybe because those were the only two on the screen at the time. So I deselected everything. I did Control A for all, C to copy, N for a new project, V to paste, and then S to save. And if you do all those, that should allow you to do whatever you're trying to do inside Camtasia. So little trick, just copies everything, pastes it in a new project. Hopefully that is helpful to you and whoever else may be watching. So that's number one. Number two is a little bit of a funny one. This isn't really number two. I called this love because I got some love today or this week. And specifically, the comment is, I hate people like you who behave as if everything is easy to understand and apply. And so that honestly just made me smile because, you know, somebody was probably having a bad day and was trying to find the answer, and maybe they were on their, you know, who knows, 5th YouTube video trying to find the answer they needed, didn't find it. They found my video, which happened to be a summary video. So if you saw my summary video, 50 things in 5 minutes or less, that was the thing. I was just trying to show them something really big. So anyway, I smiled. I didn't let it get to me. I say that as a bit of encouragement to you too. You know how the internet is. A lot of people who have encouraging things to say, a lot of people who have discouraging things to say. I just try and let it roll off my back, say, hey, this person probably wasn't having a good day. And then I pointed that person to I explained and said, this video isn't for explaining how to do something. It's to show what is possible. And then I pointed them to a collection of videos, a playlist on YouTube that basically went into how to do all those things. So if you follow me on the YouTube channel, which you're on my YouTube, you know, you're following me, you're watching me right now, I do have a playlist that shows all these great Camtasia 2020 new features, and I go through and explain how to do those step by step. So if people are sending you some love or something you don't think is quite love, you know, just roll with it. Be like, hey, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So now really on to question 2. Hi, Ron. Please correct and enlighten me a little bit about closed captions. And this person is asking about both closed and open captions and burn-in captions and all that. So let me take some time and jump over. I'm going to jump over to Camtasia. I want to show a few things. The first thing I want to show is how I import captions. So of course you could add captions. I prefer to import them, and I'll show you how I do that. And then we'll talk about what it looks like to do them open versus closed and how you export like that. So let's jump to Camtasia. Here, what I want to do is import captions. So you could go to Captions and add them all manually. Again, I don't prefer to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is scroll down here to the bottom. I'm going to right-click track 1, and I'm going to insert a track below. And I prefer to have my captions down here on this track, so I'm going to make sure that there's room for them. So I'm going to go to this, this gear icon, and I want to import captions. And my captions happen to be this one. So I have an SRT file, and here, it throws it here at the top, and I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom. And now you can see that as I go through here and explain, I have the captions here at the bottom, and I can go in and edit these captions. So if something isn't correct, I can go in and edit. You can see, let's see, like right here, there's a little sliver where I'm not saying anything, so it just says, enter caption text. And if you zoom in, you'll actually see that, in the audio timeline, from here to here, in this little section, I'm literally not saying anything, right? Same thing here. It says a blank caption. So what I've done is created a caption based on a service. So I've used multiple captioning services in the past. I have used rev.com, rev.com. I have used Trint, trint.com. I have used Temi, temi.com. And the latest one I'm using now is called Happy Scribe. So Happy Scribe, I believe it's .com right now. I think it used to be .co. Anyway, so there are a lot of different options that are out there. You can even upload to YouTube, and YouTube will auto caption for you, give it some time, and then you can download those captions and edit them manually. So I think it's a lot faster, a lot more efficient, rather than typing in your captions manually, to have a service do it for you. If you're able to do that, that's great. So that's how I import captions. Now that the captions are imported, what I want to do is produce this. So if I go to local file, I'm going to leave this at a custom production. And I think I want to, let me zoom in. Can I zoom in? Is that too far? All right, that's good. So I'm going to say next. MP4 is good, next. And then here, here are the options that I want us to consider. So I'm going to say produce with controller, and then, as I look along the top here, I see an option for, or I see a tab for options, and then here for captions. And so now I know I have this captions track. I can put in captions. And again, the person's question was, we have closed captions, burned in captions, and then under video captions. So I really want to explain these three options so people understand. So let's look at each of these. So the closed captions are really just that separate SRT file. So you can export the SRT file directly from Camtasia. In fact, I will do that right now. If I click cancel, I can go over to the gear icon, and just like I did an import for captions, I can do an export, and it'll export as an SRT file. There is also another format here, SMI. I haven't seen anybody use that particular file format. So I would just export as an SRT. I would give it a name, click save, and then it saves it as that SRT. So it's just a very simple text file you can open with Notepad or any text editor to see the contents of that. So that is number one. When you export with closed captions, it's just a separate file, an SRT file, and you upload that after you upload your video. So for example, when I go to YouTube, I would say, here's my video, and then there's some options below for uploading the captions file. So you would upload an SRT. Or I've done the same thing with Wistia. When I upload videos to Wistia, there's an option, there's a button to upload captions. And so I can click that button. I'll just need to navigate and find where that SRT file is. Okay, now back to Camtasia. I said I want to look at these other options. So I'm going to go, that one was fine. And we are going to look at the captions. And that was closed captions. So the next two, burned in captions and under video captions, are separate. They're much more different than the closed captions. So with closed captions, what happens is the viewer decides whether or not to see the captions. So they're closed, meaning they're like not there, or you can click them and kind of have them open. I shouldn't say closed and open, but closed captions just means it's not there if you don't want it, but it is there if you do want it. All right. So with open captions, we have the caption literally on the screen at the same time. So if I look at my video, and I'm not going to do that right now, but if I were to create a video with burned in captions, you would see it there at the bottom of the video. The downside to this is it will cover up whatever's at the bottom of the video. So if I introduce myself and I put my name at the bottom, it would cover up my name, or title or website or whatever it is that you're putting down there. So that's the disadvantage. You may want those though for something like if you were presenting at a kiosk, like if you had basically a screen that's available somewhere where people are just walking past, maybe in a convention center or at a mall or something like that. If you just want something, burned in, or I shouldn't say, I can say burned in. If you want it burned in, that's fine. You can do that for people who aren't going to be able to stay and listen to what you have to say. That is my least favorite of the three options. The other option that I prefer is the under video option caption. So my first preference is closed. My least preference is burned. But this one is in the middle. So under video captions is similar in that I still have my entire video, everything I produce in Camtasia. But what Camtasia will do is it will add like a strip underneath my video. So now instead of my video being 1920 by 1080, it adds, it's still 1920, but now it's, 1280 or so, I don't know. It adds some bit of height to that video and then puts my captions in down below. Now that's a good thing to do if you're doing something like a social media video, for example. If you're posting on social media, you might want to have those captions there as people are scrolling through. They might not be listening. They might have the audio muted. And so they need to, in order for you to tell them what's happening, they can read the captions there at the bottom of the screen. So those are the options that are available to you. Again, I don't prefer to burn them in just because once they're burned in, you can't hide them again. Number one, if you are doing captioning, please use closed captions. And then number two, if you don't like that, you want to put something below, that'll work as well. But it does change the resolution of your video when you do that. So I think that explains how I get my captions, import them, export them, and display videos with my captions. So that was question number 2. And question number 3 is all about hosting on AWS. So The question basically says, hey, I was trying to get this all to work on AWS. There's a lot of questions, and I know that this isn't an AWS Answers channel. So what I wanted to do is just kind of show you how I go about doing this. I'm going to start with what we need to do in Camtasia. So what do we need to produce? Because I think the last time I started talking about this, I didn't talk about what we needed to do in Camtasia. So let's jump over there. And what I would do here in Camtasia is I need to have a controller, right? So if I go to the controller, I need to say produce with controller. And then in this newest version of Camtasia, there are a couple of options here at the bottom. Export Smart Player files for hosting, or use hosted Smart Player files recommended. So you can use either of these. When I tried the two of them, the only difference between the two is that one has a skin for the player and one does not. So it used to be in older versions of Camtasia, you could choose different kinds of skins. And that just means, how does the bar look, at the bottom, the play buttons, and, is it a black background? Is it a white background? Is it a transparent background? Like, they had different options for skins, and they've taken that away. I think everybody was using the same kind of skin, and we weren't customizing our skins, so that option isn't there anymore. So that's really the only difference between those two. I would go with the one that's recommended, just because, hey, if TechSmith recommends it, then that sounds good to me. Let me go ahead and use that. So number one is you'll do that. Now, if I go back to Camtasia, let's zoom in here. When I go to the end, what I'll see is I will have all of these files that are created at the end. And what I'll always do is I'll always say to organize these into subfolders. So when I'm creating this, I'll choose the folder I want to put it in, and I'll say organize these all into its own folder so that I have all these files together. Now, I've already run this, and I think do I still have that open? I do not. Okay, let me find that fairly quickly. Yeah, there we go. So I put the hosted files. I'm not going to run it here. I'm just going to cancel this. And here is that folder. So when I created that folder, it says, okay, here are the, here's the scripts that it needs and the skins, if, I went with the skin option. And then these additional files when I rendered this specific video. All right. So like I said, there are a few things I want to talk about. Number one was making sure that we choose the right option inside Camtasia. We want to produce with the Smart Player, and well, that's basically, I put it all in one folder. So produce your Smart Player with Smart Player, put it all in one folder. That's number one. Now, number two, we want to go over to AWS. So if I go to upload, let me find that. I think that is going to be here. Yep. Okay. So here is an example of a video that I uploaded. And you can see I uploaded this in 2016. And it's the same kind of format, right? It has the scripts folder and the skins folder, and then all these different files that go along with it. And if I just jump back to that other file, you can see similar, right? Scripts, skins, and then these other files. So I had to upload these. Now, when it comes time to upload, the next thing that's important to understand here is, so let's say I wanted to upload, well, actually I could just grab this whole thing, right? Let's say I wanted to upload all this. The next very important thing that I don't think I mentioned the last time I talked about this, was setting the right permissions. So every time I upload a video to AWS, I always click the next button. And then here you can see that there's the option for public. And right now, by default, it says, you don't want anybody to see this. This is your own private thing, right? And what I do is I say, no, I actually want, let me jump, there we go. I'm going to choose the drop down here, and I say, no, grant public read access to these objects. And it's like, okay, if you do that, everyone in the world will be able to see that. And I say, yeah, great. That's actually exactly what I want. I want people to be able to download this, open this, view this, etc. So I make sure all the files that I'm uploading have these permissions to be able to just leave it open for the world. Otherwise, when people go to it, they'll get like an access denied error. And of course, we don't want that if we're trying to share our video with others. So that is what I would do. I would then just go straight to upload. There are other options if you click next. I believe that Chris actually asked about this part too. So let me jump over here just to answer this. We did, when you typically upload to AWS, you choose standard. And if that's what, that's the one option I've chosen. The other option I will choose at times is reduced redundancy. So all this is, and again, this is specific to AWS, so if you're not uploading, this wouldn't necessarily be relevant to you. But the difference between standard and reduced redundancy, when you upload to AWS, they want to make sure they don't lose your data, so they put it on multiple servers in multiple areas. In other words, your data doesn't just sit on one server, it sits in multiple areas in that location. So for example, it might be in a data center here, and then a data center a few miles away, and then a data center in a few more miles away. So it could be in like 3 different data centers. I say AWS does this. All cloud providers do this. They basically back up your data, and so we pay for that. We pay for that standard backup. Reduced redundancy, the other option that I pick, is for things that I'm not worried about. It's like it's instead of putting it in all 3, I just put it in 2. And so AWS and the other cloud providers will give you a little bit of a break on the cost. So if it's something, like maybe this file that I uploaded in 2016 and I don't think anybody's going to, look at it again, or I have a USB backup of it, I might say, let's just go ahead with reduced redundancy. But if you're not sure, standard is what you would want to do. All right. So like I said, I would typically just click upload and go from there. I'm not going to do that here. So that was the next part, making sure that we have the right permissions, uploading all the files. And then the last part is when I go to link, I choose the HTML file. So let me just show you the difference here. There's this HTML file and there's this MP4 file. Let me click on this and I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to go. So this is the HTML. This is the one I would always use. So you can see that, it has this table of contents. There's me many years ago with my goatee, right? And I can go to a specific point in the video. That's fine. So this is the whole thing. If instead I grab the MP4 and I copy that, let me try that again, copy link, and then come over and paste and go, then it downloads the file. They don't actually get to they don't get to see it. Now I'm going to cancel that because I don't need to download this file. But the important thing I'm trying to show you here is when you're linking from one video to another video, make sure you're linking to the HTML file, which includes the entire player. Okay, but if you wanted to provide a download for people, if they say, oh, I don't want to watch it right now, but I want to download it to my device, then you can give them that link directly to the MP4. All right, so that was the information I wanted to share with you today. I think that was all I wanted to share. Let me make sure. Yep, that was the last one. I'm going to check one more time to see if I can find these questions. So if you do have a question, I'm going to try and answer it, but let me see if I'm able to do that. And I'm going to try and go this way. Let me see if this will work. What I'm doing is I'm going to try and open my own live stream. And okay, good. I can see something, and there's no chat there in the live stream. Great. I just wanted to check, and I'm not sure why I can't see the comments, but all good. Thank you so much for visiting me today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you so much. If you have other questions, be sure to reply, chat, leave a comment below, all those good things. Hit that like button if this has been helpful to you, and I hope to see you again in another video. Thanks again. So long.